Welcome to recess. Let me take you guys to school. Actually, let me just get up because my groin is just disintegrating right now. Welcome back to American Nostalgia Garage. I'm Steve, your host. If you guys are paying close attention, you notice there's a turbo here, and if you have any interest in this stuff, well then this is going to be the video for you. Today we're going to do the natural thing and put my frightening 1100 horsepower 72 Pro Street Nova on the street. Spoiler alert, I did it already. Whoa. Calm down. Anyway, this car has plates. And this is the first time that it's actually had plates and registration in about 6 years. Now this car has actually been in a drivable condition for about 2 years. And it's sat here becoming a part shelf for my other builds because I'm terrified of it. I've taken it up and down the block, testing of course, and it is absolutely a handful. It is terrifying to drive. I have to admit, it is the fastest thing that I've ever driven. It's the fastest thing I've ever sat in. It is very, very fast. You may be watching this and thinking 1100 horsepower is nothing. And if you are, then my hat is off to you. Because I am absolutely terrified of this thing. So we're going to conquer our fear and we're going to drive it. We don't want to get in trouble with the boys in blue though, so we got to do some housekeeping and some odds and ends to make sure that we don't get in trouble here. Well, let's start by explaining what we have here. This is my 72 Pro Street Nova, and I'm just noticing now that that tire needs a lot of air. I might run it on the track like that, but even that's kind of low. Anyway, it needs paint and stuff like that. I did the plastic dip thing when that was a big fad. This is how I feel about plastic dip. And now because I got to take it all off in order to put a real paint job on it. Anyway, big fat tires in the back. It's tubbed and it's caged. And rear end is narrowed. Even the front tires need air. Anyway, we'll start right here. Got a very cool Sunoco like bubble hood on this thing, which if you ask me, this is the coolest hood you can put on a Nova, but I'm sure there's mixed reviews on that. I'm wondering how many surprises there are going to be under the hood here because I haven't had the hood off in quite a while. Anyway, we got a forced inductions turbo. Got all this crazy bendy pipe that I fabricated here. Got a hot side 5-inch down pipe. This is a small block Chevy. It's a little M aftermarket block. It is punched out and stroked, and it is a 414, I believe. From the 19th century, it's got fast fuel injection, which is absolutely out of here once I can come up with enough money to put in a Holly setup and probably put a Dominator in this car because it's got some inputs and outputs that I want to run. And also this car is absolutely a drain on my bank account, so why not give it the most expensive unit that Holly offers. The engine is backed up by an ATI Stage 5, which is pretty new. Turbo 400, which is good for like 2,000 horse. We have some room to grow, and we have some room to grow in this engine too. So the fuel injection system, of course, going back to that, is our culprit that's stopping us from making more power, because it's not that it's difficult to tune, but there's just not a lot of resources for this fuel injection setup, and it's just old technology, and there's better stuff out there. Realizing now that I forgot that I didn't put all that wiring back up. Oh, we got a line lock. Forgot to mention that. You may be wondering, why is there a pipe just shooting into your firewall? And that's because this car has an air-to-water intercooler, and all the have these electrical bulkheads, which are pretty cool. You can just take all your wiring out like that, and it snaps right back together. So pretty cool. I've actually got to clean that up. And then, what are these lines and hoses and stuff, right? Well, that is for a CO2 system. So don't mind the mess. Again, it's a project, but there's our intercooler. It's tucked up as much as we could possibly tuck it in underneath the dashboard to try to make it look like nice and clean. And as for those air hoses that you saw, this is a CO2 tank. which is what we run our boost control on. Right there is where our boost leash is, and the boost leash is what we're using for boost control with the CO2 system. We have a Motion Raceworks quick disconnect steering wheel, and it's got a mono cord that's still got to go on it for trans brake and line lock. Back here we got just a battery box, which has got to get cleaned up, of course, fuel cell, and then back here is an ice tank for our air-to-water intercooler. I actually have a bigger one. This has to come out and be replaced for our bigger unit, but I do have to cut down our bigger unit to fit in the space that's here. What are these? This is a coolant overflow tank and an expansion tank. And why are they back here? Well, that's because if you noticed in the front, there was a turbo where the radiator would be. And that's because tucked up under here, that's my radiator back here. So my fuel pump is right here. And then my radiator and fan are underneath the car in the back. I wanted to have the turbo sitting right in the front. I think it's cool. So we needed to offset some weight to the back, and it allowed me to put the turbo right where I wanted it to, so worked out. Actually, the system works pretty good too, and considering that it's engineered by an idiot, it works pretty good. Anyway, now that we've taken a look at the car, let's start by throwing some tail lights in it. What's in the box? We're not just going to put regular lights in this thing, we're going to put some Digitails. And these are sequential LED tail lights for the 70 to 72 Nova. And I've had these sitting on the property for so long that, look, the staple is rusted on the paper. Anyway, finally time to throw these in. Let me get rid of this garbage, and then we'll just wing it. Just kidding, we're not smart enough to do any of that. We're gonna use the instructions. Step 1. Don't wanna get electrocuted in front of my family. Step 2. If these aren't taken out of your car, you're gonna have to take them out. But mine were already out. We're steamrolling right now, people. Step 3 says identify LED panels. You are an LED panel. All right, depending on what year you have, there's a little jumper wire right there that you have to cut this depending on the year that you have. I have a 72, so I do not have to cut it. It looks like for model years 70 and 71, you do have to cut that little jumper. All right, you gotta take these lenses out so you can actually mock this thing into place, so we'll do that. You may be thinking I'm the slowest worker ever because it's starting to get dark out, but that's because there's an eclipse and the sun is disappearing. So you gotta test fit these panels in there just to make sure they fit. You might have to take this gasket out to do that. And then you gotta make sure that it's nice and clean because there's double-sided tape that you stick these to, and it's not gonna stick to dirt, so make sure they're nice and clean. There's 2 extension harnesses, one for each side, and they come in different colors. So basically it's one 6-wire and one 5-wire for each side. Basically we're gonna feed these through the grommets, send them through into the housing so that they can just be plugged in nice and easy. All right, pretty simple stuff. They give you some split grommets for back here. There's a 6-wire that goes through the extra wires for the reverse that goes through the middle, and then you've got the 5-wire through the grommet that goes for the tail light. All right, we got them double-sided taped in there, grommeted, whatever. And now we just got to run some wires to it. One note I would make, if you're doing this at home, take note of which side of the car your rear harness comes down. My car has been back half, so it may be different. I don't remember. I think they all come down the driver's side. One side of the harness that they give you is longer than the other. And you want to put the longer side on the opposite side of where the harness comes down so you have enough wire to reach over to where it comes down from. Anyway, I'm going to wire this together and then we'll take a look at it. All right, well, we got our headlights in there. They look pretty awesome. I don't know if you can tell, those are actually probably the brake lights, actually. These being LEDs, they have like almost no resistance, so they're carrying no current or very little current through the circuit. And the flashers that this car comes with, like the old flashers, require current in order for the bimetallic spring that's inside to open and close the circuit. So we're going to need to get a no-load flasher or a LED type flasher and see if that helps. But this thing might need a turn signal switch and it might need a brake switch. It's been sitting a little while. So we got a little bit of diagnosis to go. That's right. We got a little bit of diagnosis to do, but we got the lights operational. Once we get everything inside all functional, then we're good to go. All right, that's one part of the equation. Now we got to do the other part. You can see there's a reason why we want to get rid of these. These really are very dim. I actually like the old headlights, but they're just very dim. And honestly, it's time for an upgrade. So what you're looking at is China's best. And these came straight off of Amazon. And let me show you. I don't want to take this off just yet, but it's got two like projector type LED bulbs and I don't know, some little crystal looking things. And the biggest thing here that I actually like is the halo ring. And it's not, I'm not going to do it in all funny colors. I'm not 14 years old, but you can do it in white and you can do it in amber. And I think I'm going to stick with the white. I think it's a classy look. So we'll throw these on now. All right, a little tough to see because there's a glare, but that's what our headlights look like now. Now you can see. Got the white halo ring, and I don't know, these light up and these little balls light up. Pretty cool. Just to show you what it looks like, let's try amber. All right, this is what it looks like with amber. And if I'm being honest, it doesn't look that bad. Kind of all blends in like this, but you can kind of see it's amber. Let's see. Not bad. All right, so we're going to take this thing for a ride. It's become apparent that I'm not allowed to have a trunk lid, and I have one, but also this is supposed to get Zeus fastened on. I don't know about any of you guys, but I have a magical garage, which means that some of my parts, tools, just, you know, grow feet and just walk away. As it turns out, they're 2-year-old little feet, and I think you guys catch my drift. So yeah, I don't have fasteners to fasten my trunk lid on and my hood on, so we'll do with none. We're not going to go very far. We're just going to take it out, run some temperature into it, get the tires hot, see how it runs. All right, I'm letting it warm up. I apologize if you're shaking. I don't know if I mentioned it, but this car has a roll cage in it, and there's really not a lot of place to hang a camera. So you're currently hanging from my rear view mirror. I think the warm-up probably could use a little bit of tuning. It's pretty good, though. I have to say, it's relatively quiet for a car that makes this much power. But I like it. It's like a loud whining noise from the back, and I don't mean my fuel pump. I don't know what that is. So right now, all I'm trying to do is give the car a shakedown and monitor things. Coolant temp, make sure the brakes work, transmission temp. Just got to make sure the car doesn't fall apart. Right now, if you ask my car, we're doing 180 miles an hour, which is weird because this is the fastest 180 miles an hour I've ever done at a stop sign. Also, don't know if I mentioned this, but this car already had a rack and pinion, and it's also now got Willwood brakes in the front and new drag control arms, upper and lower in the front. So I'm driving it for the first time with all that new equipment. Oof. When this thing starts getting into the converter, I got into it just a little bit, just a little in first gear, and the CO2 bottle is not even on, and I took off like I was about to leave Earth. checking, that's the boost controller. And like I said, the CO2 tank isn't even open. So we're running on wastegate spring. And if you run one of these systems, typically wastegate spring is like a very, very small spring, a very lightweight spring. In this, I think it's like 2 or 4 pounds each. I have 2 wastegates. So I think it's 2 or 4 pounds each. I'm actually afraid to go any harder on this thing. Also, it runs on E85, forgot to mention that. So I had to make a special trip for fuel. All right, we're back on the compound. I got the radiator and the water pump still running in the back. And I've got the trans cooler, it's right here. I got both of them running to cool the car down. Anyway, that's why we do these things. You go out, you shake them down, you see how they drive. I could have, you know, just stuck this thing to wood on the first time. And to be quite honest, I would have outrun 90% of the cars that were on the road at the time that I was out just now, and it's rush hour traffic. Like I said, the CO2 bottle wasn't even on, so we were running on just a couple of pounds of boost. Absolutely frightening. If you were hoping for more carnage and badassery, it's coming. This old Haas right here, trust me, I just found what it has the ability to do, and I definitely didn't even crack into its full potential. Although I was frightened pretty much the entire time. Just a shakedown pass, guys. The race stuff and the full throttle stuff is coming. I just don't want to kill myself yet, you know? So, if you guys enjoyed the video and you enjoyed the content, subscribe to the channel. It's that easy. Also subscribe because we got other builds and stuff you might want to see. So, anyway, just want to take an opportunity to thank everybody for their support, and thank you for watching. As always, American Nostalgia Garage, out.